Welcome back to the channel, Nature's Reality 360, where we bring you the reality of nature, 360 degrees of it. Okay, today we're back with another update on the Maui wildfires. It's a really tragic story. They've been ravaging the Maui island for over a week now. I'm going to play some of the devastation in the background so you can check that out while I go over what we're going to talk about today. We're just going to do a couple facts, some updates. I'm going to show a couple interviews, but we're also going to talk about some of the speculation going on, because it seems like the more we're finding out, the more reporting on it, the more people are talking about it, we're kind of left with more questions than answers. So we're going to go over some of the ideas that are starting to float around. All right. So again, it was 2 Fridays ago, August 4th, are when the first brush fires started. What people are assuming, because we don't have a definitive answer on what even caused the fires yet, but what's being told as of now is that because of Hurricane Dora, which was a Cat 5 hurricane at the time, they think that the strong winds from the hurricane knocked over some power lines. The power lines being knocked over started a couple brush fires. And then by Tuesday, August 8th, that's when it spread into bigger fires that eventually reached Lahaina, Hawaii, that had a population of 13,000 people. And when I first reported on it a couple of days ago, 80% of the city was destroyed. And now they're saying it's completely leveled. That's what we're looking at here right now. Honestly, it looks like a bomb went off. You know, even the governor was quoted saying it looked like a bomb went off. It really resembles the aftermath of Hiroshima and Nagasaki when the atom bombs were dropped. Truly devastating. So the death count, the last one I saw was 93, but we know it exceeds 100 now. You can say that without a doubt. There's even 500 to 1,000 people still unaccounted for, and those are just the ones they know about. The other very unfortunate thing is that school was out last week, I believe Tuesday. So there was a lot of kids home from school that day. So people are fearing that once these numbers start coming in, there might be a lot of children along with the casualties. We're going to hope and pray that that's not the case. But as you see here, not much went unscathed. The Maui Emergency Management Agency estimates $5.5 billion to rebuild. Now keep that in mind, rebuild. Another thing, keep in mind the unaccounted for. These are things we're going to touch on again later on in the video. Okay, so 22 acres have been completely destroyed. Over 2,000 buildings completely destroyed. They're saying 85% of those were residential homes. So it's just devastating. Why is the government stopping people from bringing aid and bringing food and clothing? They're saying only FEMA is allowed to go beyond a certain threshold where all the help is needed. And this is what's starting to raise questions and speculation. I'm going to show you a video. Get a load of this. This makes, I do want to say, we're not a conspiracy theory channel. We're not going to be entertaining crazy ideas, but we do have an open mind. We do think logically, rationally, critically. We're going to go over every side of every story till we get to the truth and we find the facts. But in no way, shape, or form are we placing blame on anyone. Are we suggesting that we know exactly what happened? And I just wanted to make that clear. Okay, so anyway, get a load of this video. This is the kind of stuff that's making people think.
Supplies, just supplies for people to live.
The government withholding every single one of our donations because we are not a part of FEMA and Red Cross. So none of this is eligible for giving out. Tell me why? I have no freaking clue.
The people of Maui are on their own for now.
Alright, so there you go. And that's kind of what's making people speculate what's going on. Why aren't they letting people come in with pallets full of food and clothing. I heard that they're saying medicine needs to be approved by the government before any medication can be brought in. And when people don't get answers to these questions, it only makes them go further down the rabbit hole. But you have to remember, there's two sides to everything. Maybe they're not being let in because they're not trained to rescue people. Maybe they're not being let in because it's not safe to go into these areas yet. Maybe they're not allowed to just hand out medicine to random people because you don't know who's prescribed what. And if we just let all this happen and more people get hurt and more damage is done than good, then the government's responsible for that, right? So we don't want to jump to conclusions. We just want to unturn every stone and go over every detail and every report, like I said before, right? So another reason that people are speculating the way they are is because there was a meeting supposedly last year with some of the elite class people, the WEF, the World Economic Forum. You may remember them from the pandemic. Well, they had a meeting discussing Maui becoming the first AI city, a 15-minute city. You may have heard of them before. So a 15-minute city is this new idea where they want everything to be within a 15-minute reach. So there's no cars, there's no fossil fuels. The WEF is actually on record saying that Hawaii was going to be the first state to run completely on clean energy, which means no fossil fuels, right? That's wind, solar, geothermal, those types of things. A company called BlackRock, they own a lot of everything. Apparently they were trying to buy up a lot of land in Maui, but from what I'm reading, there's a lot of indigenous people who own the land, and the land is theirs. And there's also a lot of business owners who own the land, and they didn't want to sell it because the land's valuable, whether sentimental or for business. It was extremely valuable land. So some people are speculating because of this conference they had last year and the plans they were talking about, and because the people who own the land wouldn't sell it, some people are speculating that this is what they call a land grab, and that maybe they intentionally did this to get people off the land, destroy the land, and then they come in with some money and say, hey, you want to sell it now? And then the people are basically in a state of desperation, so they really have no choice. So, what makes people think this way? There's a few things. Some people say because Oprah's house is untouched. Oprah's estate in Maui, apparently not one blade of grass got burnt. So some people take that and say, oh, see, look. I don't say that proves anything. It's just something to think about. Another odd thing is the Maui police chief is named John Pelletier. And John Pelletier was ironically the police chief in Las Vegas when the Vegas shootings happened in 2017, which was another incident where some people feel like we have more questions than answers. So that's another thing setting off red flags for certain people. But as of now, it's all speculation. And there's different groups blaming different people. There's a wrongful death lawsuit being filed against Hawaiian Electric. The attorneys are blaming the electric company. The government's blaming climate change. And the people are blaming the government, whether it's mismanagement or directly causing it for a land grab. So how would they cause it? Well, that's a whole other topic. There's things called directed energy weapons, basically lasers, giant lasers. And there's people that are claiming maybe they used these directed energy weapons. I was going to play a video on it. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. But apparently, a few different countries have these capabilities, America being one of them. And the largest directed energy weapon happens to be in Hawaii. So there are people.
Here's what I found on the internet.
And that's my phone talking to me. So that's my cue. I'm really sorry. This is a work in progress. I'm still learning. I'm having a lot of hurdles along the way. I just wanted to report on this because it's very close to my heart. I've mentioned before, I'm part Hawaiian. I've been to Hawaii a few times. My mother used to live there, and just the fact that it's such a devastating event, I wanted to report on it. Tomorrow, I'll probably mention it again. I want to start looking into what's going on with the animals. I know there's a lot of wildlife on the island. I want to report on that. What are they doing to help the animals? I saw some very disturbing videos earlier. I didn't want to share it. But for now, we can still go to civilbeat.org, the website I showed earlier or yesterday, and that's going to show you all the links for donations and where you can send either money or supplies to help people. And I'm sure they would appreciate any kind of help they could get. Okay, I did want to show this video real quick. This is two different locals talking. Let's see what they have to say.
My neighbors and I are interested in what the news actually is, because we don't have access to the internet, not cellular, not cable internet. We don't have TV. We do have the radio, but for whatever reason, the radio out here continues to just mainly play music. I've heard very few broadcasts of news, and I don't know if that's just my timing of listening to it, but there's really been very little information.
I live on Maui. The media is lying and or covering up the extent of the damage and the death count. I personally know people that are telling me the death and destruction is way worse than we're being told. I am witnessing the cover-up by the media firsthand.
All right. And I have nothing to substantiate what they're saying. That's just two random guys who claim to be locals. Okay? But for today, I just wanted to show that there's a lot of questions that aren't being answered, and there's a lot of theories going around. Maybe you've heard some of them. If you want, leave them in the comments. If you want to give any feedback or any specific questions you may have, I'll try to answer those for you. But that's going to wrap it up for today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Join us tomorrow for another news report, and I promise they're going to get better and better. All right, I hope to see you back here. Nature's Reality 360. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you on the next one. Woo!